Hello guys, another Android Volley tutorial. In the previous episode, we already learned about how to create a simple request using Volley. In this episode, I am going to show you how to create your own request queue. In the previous episode, we used the Volley convenience method called newRequestQue. That method will use the default values to create the request queue. So now we are going to customize the request queue. So here I use a local host. Here I use the WAM server. So here we have a PHP script inside the root folder of the web server. This PHP script return a simple message. So now we are going to create an Android application that fetch this data from server and display it inside the application. So start a new project in Android Studio. So the first thing you need to add the internet permission inside Android manifest.xml. Now you need to add the needed dependency inside the Gradle script file. So here is the dependency for the Volley library. This is the application layout. Here is a text view and a button. So when user click this button, the application fetch data from server and display the server response using this text view. Now go to main activity.java. Now here we need to create some variables. Now create a variable for text view. I name it as text view. Now we need some URL. Create a string. Server URL, and here I use a Genymotion virtual device. The Genymotion virtual device needs the IPv4 address of this computer to access the local host. Here my IP. Now specify the script file name. Here the script file name is greetings.php. Okay. Now we need some variables for the request queue. I name it as a request queue. Now we can initialize these variables. First initialize the button variable. Button equal to typecast that one into button. Now find it. Now initialize the text view. Typecast that one into text view. Now find it. Now we need to initialize the request queue. To start the request queue, you need two things. You need a network for the network transaction and you need a cache for the memory caching. So the disk-based cache class will provide the support for the caching and the basic network class provides support for the network transactions. So first we have to create some variables for cache equal to new disk-based cache. First argument is the cache directory. Now specify size of your cache memory. So here I need a 1 MB of size. This 1024. This is equal to 1 MB of size. Okay, now we can initialize the network variable. I name it as network. The network must implement an HTTP client. Typically, it is an HTTP URL connection. So new basic network, new HURL stack. Okay, so now we have the cache and network. Now we can initialize the request queue. So request queue equal to new request queue. First pass the cache. Now pass the network. Okay, so now we have to start the request queue. So RequestQueue dot start. Now we need to create the listener for the button. So button dot set on click listener. So now we need to create a string request. New string request. First one is the request method type. And here is the method type is post. Now specify the server URL. Now you have to specify the listeners. First one is the response listener. Now specify the error listener. Okay. Now inside the onResponse method, we get the response through this argument called the response. Now set the response inside the text view. So text view dot set to text and display the response. So after getting the response, we can stop the request queue. So RequestQueue dot stop. If there is an error occur, we can display the error on the text view. So text view dot set to text. Now print the error, print stack trace. Print it stack trace. Okay, and finally you need to add the string request to the request queue. So RequestQueue dot add string request. Now we finish the coding. Now we can test the application. Okay, run this application. Select a virtual device. Okay, now the application available on this virtual device. Now we need to get the server response. Get server response. Here is the message from server. So this is how we customize the request queue. I hope you understand the concepts. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.